Hello, everybody. Welcome to our little show. We call it Hanging Out with Howie, but actually, it's my cast of characters that actually really make the show. Thank you all for being here. But before I introduce everybody, we'd like to acknowledge our longtime sponsor. That would be DJ Event Planner, that www.djeventplanner.com, and a host of others that'll be down below when this video is published to 12 to 14 different places. And please, if you click on that link, that helps keep us on air for the free content that you're going to get tonight. So I am so happy to have a reasonable cast of characters here tonight for this particular topic. And I'll introduce them from left to right on my screen. And we have Buddy with us. Thank you for being here, Buddy. We have Eric with us. And of course, Boston John, who's always around, my road dog. And okay, road dog. Oh, gotta take a drink. Oh, here we go.
Gotta stay hydrated. Road dog hydration.
Stay hydrated. And of course, Matt, who Brian brought on board a few weeks ago. Thank you for being here.
Always happy to be here, hanging out with Howie.
Thank you so much. Okay, here's something that came up this week that actually shocked me because there were so many responses to this particular thing. And what it is basically the venue is what I call an event factory, or a wedding factory. They could have 4 weddings at the same time. And what they'll do is, if it's a big event, they'll open all the bifold doors and have a big gala, or they can have, 4 smaller ones or 2 medium-sized ones, let's say. But the soft doors that go across that are bifold, they do not provide any sound, protection. And this guy was approached by the management and asked if he could turn down his bass. And more than half of the people, I was very shocked, were very, very unreasonable, unlike you guys here. And they were like, well, the other DJ should have gotten quality equipment, or I work for the wedding couple, not for the venue. And I'm like, wow, well, good way to chase away, referrals and business. And I'm just wondering, like, I've run into this, and I was like, sure, as a matter of fact, I had one time that I was in a situation like that where the guy said, hey, my lights are like going crazy. And I was like, well, what channel are you on? And I pulled out my phone and I just did a quick scan. And he goes, I don't know. I go, what's the name of your channel? He goes, I don't know. I go, okay, I'm on this channel here. And he goes, oh my gosh, I'm using Donners, for my lighting. And they're just going crazy. And I'm using the highest powered available. I won't reveal the name of the company, but the highest powered. And he goes, oh, I have 30 lights I have to change from red to blue or whatever. And I was like, dude, this is probably you, right underneath me. You're here, I'm up here. That's how powerful my transceivers are. And I said, look, I only have to change 3. So I went over to my side. I changed the address. I found out open channels and I changed them. And his lights worked. And I made a friend that referred me, and I referred him, and we became friends. It was like cooperation, it's all about that. It's like he would have had to change 30. I could have been Richard, like some of these other people that, or I could have been the nice guy. I only had to change two things, and a couple of clicks on the computer and, everything. And then he was like, oh man, thank you so much. Now, has anybody run into a situation like that? Buddy, let's start with you. Have you run into a situation with those bifold dividers where...
Yeah, there's here in Chicagoland, especially in Chicagoland, because it's a major market, and a lot of major markets, you have certain venues that can hold multiple events at the same time in multiple rooms. Mm-hmm. They give them different names and stuff like that. You're in the estate room, you're in the whatever room. They give all these great names, and it's actually one big, huge room that they throw out these floating walls on.
Yeah.
Some places have double floating walls, which have like a little space between the two, like a foot or two. It's supposed to help muffle the sound. I've been on other side of DJs, and I've sat there, and they always stagnate at times. And you're sitting there at dinner time playing dinner music, and all of a sudden the one behind you is doing intros, or vice versa, and you're either out pounding them and they're out pounding you, and you can hear it clear as day. It's how far you get into the room. The one thing I ask about this, and I saw the same thing you saw, the same posting. Mm-hmm. How loud are these guys and girls playing at? Are they playing music so loud? And I saw the post. It was for, if I remember correctly, it was for a prom or another event like that with a head count of like over 200. How loud are you playing that you need to be asked by a facility to turn down? That's the first thing. Second thing is that, why would you want to make the facility angry at you, which is to make them a friend and say, no problem, adjust it, bring it down a little bit. You still, the people on the dance floor are still hot, but yet grandma and grandpa in the back of the room or mom and dad in the back room can have a conversation. Hot dance floor, warm room, everything, problem solved. I see sometimes some people bring in every single speaker they can, and they crank as loud as they can. And to me, it's the equation of, if you bring a hammer, your only tool is a hammer in your tool set. You bring a hammer to everything looks like nails, and you just start pounding nails. If you bring every single piece of equipment with you every single time to play at the maximum volume, not using the right tool for the right job, you run into this situation. And I'm sorry, but I can't agree with any of those DJs doing the pushback saying that, hey, I'm going to do max volume. I'm going to do what I want to do. It's a partnership between you, the facility. If you're doing a wedding, it's a couple. It's the photographer. It's the videographer. If they have a wedding planner or an event coordinator, it's a workmanship with everyone. And I don't understand why people, especially on our side, the DJ side, are just so anti work with other people, even other DJs. Like, again, you helping the other DJ out. That is awesome. I've helped DJs out, give them cables. I had a guy say, hey, my USB cable broke. Do you have an extra one? USB A to USB B. Yeah, here you go. Oh, what? How can I give it back to you? I'm like, don't worry about it. I'll have extras, which I do. It's just one of the things that, if you have been in the business for a while, to have extra stuff. Things happen. If you can't, if you don't need it, someone else may need it. Just help them out. Be friendly. You attract more flies with honey than you do with vinegar. And I don't understand why this animosity toward other DJs and facility managers. I never understood it.
Yeah. Well, thank you, buddy. Eric, you're next up on my screen. What say you?
Oh boy. Yeah, I was doing a celebration of life one time. And it was the Dividers. It was at the Sheridan Terry here in Nashua in New Hampshire. And now we're at the point where people can come up and say some nice things, kind words about the person, that they're celebrating. And all of a sudden in the next room, all you hear is bang, 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 and just so loud. Well, I didn't complain about it, but the person who was speaking kind of was getting, upset.
Sure.
The function manager noticed what was going on, ran over to the other room, had him turn it down, and then everything went fine after that. And I did have one other incident where I guess I was a little loud, but I was on the second floor, so there's no dividers. I was on the second floor, these people down on the first. And it was like a lounge down there. and they sent the manager up. Hey, can you turn it down? Everybody down here is complaining. I'm like, well, we're going through a floor here. And I mean, yeah, I'll turn it down, but you're still probably going to hear my subwoofers a little bit, That's a little difficult if they're underneath you, I think, to kind of control that. But
yeah,
those,
Well, when that happened to me in Philadelphia at the Hilton of all places, you would think Hilton would be, highfalutin. I asked the venue manager that asked me to turn down, would you please go and tell the wedding couple that you have asked me to turn down, so I don't look like the bad guy and they don't come to me and say, hey, can you pump it up?
Right.
Then it's on the venue because they have, mistakenly booked two weddings, in the same, sort of situation. So let's see who's up next on my right. To my right would be Boston John.
That going to be me?
Yeah,
Okay.
my road dog. Oh,
Road dogs. Road dogs, yeah. Yeah, must be thirsty.
Mm.
Oh, Eric, I feel your pain on that because a lot of times when you play function halls, there's kind of like a members only lounge.
Yeah.
And then they have the big room. And they always seem to set you up aiming at the members hall through the walls of the big room. Smart to put your backside to that wall and play the other direction. But I've had people come over from some Elks clubs and whatever else, and they're like, "Well, sounds great," because they know I'm making money for the venue, and the members are getting a free party. It wasn't like they had something else on the jukebox and they were getting there. They're listening to each other breathe. Like they're all lucky to be alive. They're all in their 80s. Sipping whatever's on tap for 50 cents a pitcher. No, I actually had a similar situation. I had a room I went into, and it was a good size record. And we're like, oh, we're dividing. So I said, yeah, if I set up in the middle of the divider wall and run an extension, I can be aimed away from whatever's behind me. We're not going to be in competition. There should be as much bleed over. So I got set up and got going and peeked through the little divider door because I was plugged in over there because as far as I knew, that was the only outlet in the place. So we're getting ready to get started and everything goes dead. I'm like, somebody unplugged my cord. Back across the divider wall. And I managed to find an outlet in the room with an extra 25 feet of extension cord. I'm like, okay, we're all good. So we did, announcements, first dance, and we're just getting into coming out of dinner, getting really the party vibe going. And someone from the venue said, can you turn it down a little bit? And I, was between songs and I'm like, I don't hear anything coming from next door. So I peeked through and of course it's a bereavement, set up behind me.
Okay.
There's, it's in memory of Uncle Luke or whatever, who's no longer with us.
And you were playing Let the Bodies Hit the Floor.
We're all going to die young or something. One of those Kesha songs. So you never know, but you have to be mindful. I would never deliberately try to outplay volume wise, a DJ head to head. It's
right.
That you only have to be so loud in the space that you're in. It's a hall. It's not a nightclub. If it is a nightclub, hopefully they're not booking a different DJ that close to you. But if you play nice with others, it comes around tenfold. And I'm sure all these people that are saying, "Well, I'm not turning down. They should have better gear." Well, you're probably not going to get asked back to that venue again because you didn't. The people in the room, you're probably too loud, and the people across the hall don't like you, and they're complaining about the DJ, not the venue, the DJ. And you're not going to end up on anybody's, most requested list to. The little black book of, we'll call him if there's an emergency. Like, hell no, he's too loud and inconsiderate. So that's my take on it is, and we even turned it down a little. And I went over and spoke to the bride and groom and just kind of smoothed that out. I'm like, there's kind of a wake going on. So we'll be peppy, but we're not going to be, nightclub loud. And they were like, oh my God, that's so terrible. All right, party on.
Yeah.
That's how we do it in Boston. Yeah. So they understood. We'll have a drink for Uncle Luke.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Sure.
And up next, but not, and last but not least would be Matt.
George and Matt.
All right. Yes. Well, thank you all. I haven't had this situation happen, but I have been in those partition rooms before, just not DJing. But I can tell you, I think it's easy to happen and it's easy to bleed over. And all right, so the DJ that got asked to turn this down, the post was saying that he was doing a prom, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I can imagine too, just the in his head too, like the ginormity of the event, right? It's like this is a prom. This is the dance that like is in every movie these kids have watched, from first through 12th grade. They're out there having this moment, and for him, it's like depending on your experience and what opportunities have come along, this is almost like this is getting your Super Bowl gig a little bit, not in all cases, but I mean, it's a big one because you understand how important it is to a lot of people. So I could see him riding that adrenaline, but to kind of still be in that position after the fact and be on the forums after the fact, I don't know the person, and of course, I have respect for everyone in the industry. But I don't know. I think I would have still tried to find some middle ground. I would know that was a request to the venue. I would maybe communicate it to some of the, I'm sure there were faculty, staff, or some poor volunteers that got roped into looking after these kids at the prom. It's doing any good. But anyway, so I would have tried to explain that that's what the request was. And then, there ended up being complaints about the DJ, they're able to be on your team with them. And I think that was kind of said earlier too about, Howie, where you were asking the venue employee to bring in, to let the bride and groom know. But, I would find some ways to balance it out, to maybe let people know that this is the venue's take on it. From a venue perspective, do we know in this case what the event in the next room was? Was it a wedding?
I never saw it in the article.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was nothing but complaining like, got the biggest blank.
The biggest speakers.
That poor DJ should have had a bigger blank than me. So screw him. I'm going to play what I want. And I'm like, man, where are you guys coming from?
That's not what this is about. We're both out here trying to create, great experiences for these people. Now, in the events of there being some rockin' event that's been booked months, if not years in advance, and you deciding that you're going to put something like a celebration of life or a bereavement, something like that next door, I almost wonder, like, what the heck are you thinking at that point to the venue? It's like, come on. It's like I understand you have the space. I understand this might be something you're wanting to do to help these people out, or maybe it's something above your head. But I mean, there's going to be this party-like atmosphere, and all that's dividing it are these partitions. So
right, yeah, you're right. There was a big faux pas on management's part.
You're right. The scheduling of the venue should know better, or at least look at the types of parties that are coming in, even if they stagger them, like you say, Howie, where they're not starting to, like one part's ramping up for the dance, and then meanwhile the photographers are trying to get first dance photos and audio. From this, and all you got is jump around, bleeding through the walls. It's they should plan better.
I like what Buddy said, which has been Brian and myself's mantra for over a decade now, where we make a hot dance floor. I even have on my, before column arrays came along, when I would have 12-inch tops, I had that articulating top that would turn the 12-inch tops down towards the dance floor and independently control the bass to make a hot dance floor, but everybody could talk in the back, which shouldn't theoretically really matter to anyone next door to these bifold doors,
The one thing also, Howie, I just wanted to add this, hearing everyone else talking and so forth. I feel that maybe we're kind of missing the point a little bit, is that I don't know how big the room is. Let's say for 200 people, those 2 rooms, the place could have 3 separate rooms if possible. And one room was for whatever it is, a wedding, a party, a birthday party, whatever it is. They booked it to make money. The facilities to make money.
Right.
Is it that difficult to come in and turn down the volume a little bit? Again, turn down the bass a little bit, adjust everything. If you don't understand how to run your equipment, everything has to run at 100% full on out. It's not, it's like having a Ferrari. I don't take a Ferrari and then slam down the gas pedal. I don't have a Ferrari, by the way, but if I had one, I wouldn't take it out on the street, slam down the gas pedal, go as fast as I possibly can, drive as fast as I possibly can for as long as I can, and then hope that, when I'm done, I put it away and just turn it off. No, you go different speeds, different levels. And we need to do the same thing with audio as well. As my light turned off on me, but it's one of the things. Again,
Ferrari. That's your do list. There
you go. It's not Ferrari, but it's. To me, I turn it back to, it's not so much the facility's fault. It's the facility asking you as a vendor to work with them and help them out and do a solid, and not turn it off, not turn it way down to the kids can't enjoy themselves or the wedding party can't enjoy themselves. Asking you, hey, can you turn it down a little bit? That's not a hard thing. Again, you're still going to hit the back of the wall, but at the back of the wall, do you have 300 decibels to the back of the wall, or do you have, on the dance floor, you have it nice and hot and warm? Because you want it closer to the stage where you're at. You want that energy there. The people in the back going to the bar, getting be whatever the beverage is, a soft drink or be it an adult beverage. Let the bartender be able to hear the order. Let the they're gonna have a buffet back there for the kids. Let them enjoy their chicken fingers or French fries, and not be blasted out with music.
Well, and to Matt's point too, it was a prom, and it's like, hey, the guys in the back that aren't up in the front dancing and raving, they're probably trying to get a date, and they want to be able to talk to a girl. So why not keep a hot dance floor? If people want to dance, they'll come up to where the music is. They want to talk to a girl, they're going to go to the back where the girls are. It's not rocket science here, guys.
Very true. I think it's just sad that the guy wouldn't even just bend a little bit, just to be accommodating. It's my way or the highway. I'm going to play at this volume, and it was probably super loud. If you get complaints,
I can imagine.
It all comes back to mine's bigger than yours. Big deal. Who cares? All right. Bonus question before we go. Have any of you ever blacklisted a venue? I have. Buddy, we'll start with you. You're on my right. Have you ever blacklisted? Somebody said, hey, I want you to do my event. And okay, where is it? Nope, can't do it. I won't work at that venue.
Of course, there's venues that I prefer not to go to. And there's areas also, like for me, downtown Chicago is a big, huge hassle for me with parking and everything like that. I try to stay out of downtown Chicago. I usually don't, take bids. I usually, give to other DJs. So,
well, you have a trailer, right? You work with.
No, I have a Sprinter. I have a Mercedes Sprinter. So 9 feet tall, doesn't fit in parking garages. Plus, parking down there is hard, and it's just a big headache. Parking period downtown Chicago is hard. It just. If I can park in a bay or something like that, I'll do it. But I usually try to stay away from downtown Chicago. But there are venues that are very difficult to work with, and I work with almost everyone. And thank God for Tracy, my wife, who also works with me. She's a saint, and she'll talk to the facility manager.
Have her. She's gorgeous. Yeah.
Yes, she is. She's an awesome woman, and she a lot of times she'll talk to the venue, and she can. she a lot of times can make sense of things and talk to them, but sometimes there's venue managers that we run into, and she's like, "Yeah, I would not prefer coming back here again because they're they don't know what they're doing, or they're just unreasonable on their demands." And
I was going to say unreasonable. Yeah.
And with that right there are venues that I say, yeah, I'm sorry, I will not service that venue due to the fact of, we did not work well with them. Not that wasn't our fault, but they're difficult to work with, and we don't want to work with them.
Right. All right. Hey, how about you, Eric? Have you blacklisted a venue?
Well, we all have venues we don't want to play at, like Buddy just said. We got certain areas but there is one venue, and this was many, many, many years ago, and I'm talking vinyl days. We were doing a gig in Westford, Mass.
You're old.
Wow. I started young. I'm not old. But we had, they had booked the place until midnight. And it's 11:45, right? And the bartender says, "Hey, say last call." No problem. Now, this bartender was probably about, and I'm not kidding, 90 years old, 1 foot in the grave. He's been there for years and years,
Oh,
and,
my.
Hey, last call. Okay, so we did the last call. 5 minutes later, he comes up. "All right, shut that song off. We're done." I said, "We still got 10 minutes to go here." "No," I said, "shut it off." And he walked back to the bar. And I'm like, I'm not shutting it. These people paid me till midnight. And I'm looking at my partner. I'm like, there's no way. He comes walking back up, takes the needle off the record. And that's when my partner, he almost flew over the thing to get to this guy. And I grabbed him. I said, "Leave, we're done. Get on the mic, hey, sorry." And everybody seen what happened anyway. They knew it wasn't ice. So, yeah, that's one place. I don't know if he's still there, but I doubt it. Because of
he's still pouring drinks. He's 125 today. God bless his soul.
I don't want to mention the name of the club, but it was, just in case. But I'm sure his son works there now, and he's getting up there in age too. So ever since then, you get a bad taste in your mouth. And it wasn't the best looking club anyway. I mean, I wasn't losing a ton of money by saying, "Nah, I don't want to go there again." But that was my story. But yeah, it was just, that was just the strangest thing to have happen when you're doing it,
Well, thank you very much, Eric. And right to my right would be my road dog.
Oh, road dog. Yeah.
Boston John.
Well,
we're supposed to be taking shots every time.
Well, if I had shots, I would make it to the end of a 30-minute show with Howie.
Yeah, right.
We've done some time out on the road, and it's generally it's not the people, it's the venues, it's their ergonomics. There's staircases with turns. There's no elevators. There's it's silly little things that we just say, "I'd prefer not to." Would we still take the gig? Of course. We would take any gig that came along anywhere. The place that I worked for 5 years, it was up a flight of stairs on the second floor, 5 nights a week, 5 years. It's like, a lot of lugging. It's a lot. That's how you get big, thick thighs, Well, there's like some places in downtown Boston. It's like the bars were an afterthought. It's like, "Oh, you're setting up right here at the windows by the front door." It's like, yeah, but the bars like way over there, and the restrooms are even further than that. And when you got 300 people in the place, it's like, I'm never going to see that side of the building from now till the end of it. I'm stuck here. This is my spot. It's just the design things, and we've got some tough areas in Boston too. And in Southie, it's, like 3-story brick. It's so-and-so post or whatever. It's like, yeah, it fits 125 people. It's like, yeah, but you get parking for 3 cars outside. There's no parking lot. This is like in a residential neighborhood. Where does everybody put their cars? Oh, you park down the beach and you walk like the 3 blocks up. I'm like, my speakers? You can't even stop. It's like, there's cars parked on both sides, and it's a 1-lane, one-way. You stop the car, take a speaker out, someone goes around the block with the car while you run that speaker in, you come back out, wait for the car to show up again. It's like that kind of stuff. I'd be like,
I've done that. Oh my
God. I'd be like, I'd rather not have to do that time coordinated. But and you just then you're just like, I'm charging more for this place next time. First time, fool me, haha. But next time, no. They're like, oh, we booked it at the so and so, and I'm not going to mention the name of the place, but it's. I think they're still in business. Might be your bartender that still works there, Eric.
Surprise.
But that's the stuff. So it's not that we run into people very often, but it's just like, oh, this place is a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, John. And last but not least, Matt.
All right. So, I haven't got to the point of blacklisting yet, I would say. But, in my 15 years of doing this thus far, you do learn about different quirks of venues, like you guys were saying, logistics. Sometimes maybe it's, I don't even want to necessarily say it's always bad personnel, but sometimes just that clash of personalities too, and things like that you kind of learn to work your way around. And then some things you're more prepared for by the next client you talk to. Now, when I do weddings, I'm dealing a lot, generally with the bride or the bride and groom or however that goes. And, not as much with the venue owners or any coordinators or anything like that until much later, probably the day of. So, you learn things like, oh yeah, well, just to let y'all know, last time I was there, they had me up these stairs or whatever. I'd like to be on the floor this time if that's possible. And then you work with them and find out what logistics are there. And sometimes it's, oh yeah, you're going up those stairs again, but we have all of these people that are going to help tote stuff up for you or whatever. So, just depending on what it is. So it's always kind of, you try to find compromise as much as possible. Some of the more difficult people I've worked with though, they don't usually last too long. It's different in the cases of a venue owner. And thankfully, I haven't worked with any overly difficult venue owners, but because that's their place, their house, their rules. Sometimes literally their house is right next door on the property. But those people kind of come and go. Like when I was starting out, didn't have my own equipment, didn't even have a regular rental. I would try to use house systems at places that had good enough house systems. And one of them had a wireless mic, and I kept saying, all right, I need some backup batteries for this thing. I should have just brought them. I know that's the long story short, but they had it where they didn't even want me like opening up the capsule or anything on the microphone. It's their property or whatever. And I think a lot of DJs, I know I'm going long here, but a lot of DJs kind of leave a bad taste in your mouth. So, and you get to inherit all of that bad fortune. But anyway, so after one time of announcing the bride and groom and the mic cutting out on me because the battery thing started flashing, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to keep this in mind next time and come prepared. But of course, by then there was new personnel that I dealt with. That other person had moved on. So, hey, it's, those people listened to me. They had new batteries in the thing. They had backup batteries ready to go for me. So I'm trying to find that compromise.
That's it. You said the key word there. I think that sums up the whole show is the compromise. Deal with the people, just be reasonable, and I like that. I really like that. So with that, guys, we're going to put a fork in this, and thank you all so much for participating. And we will be back next week. And as always, when this is published to the various different outlets, YouTube being the main one, if you have a topic that you want us to cover, we'll be happy to do it for you. Leave your comments down below, and we'll see you next week.